Right, hello, I am back and you already know what I'm doing by the title, by the thumbnail, by the everything. So I don't really want to talk about much, I reckon we should just get into it, but first of all, before I do, I'm going to talk about it, which is what I just said I wouldn't do, because I want to talk about the results in testing before I start doing the actual predictions. First of all, what the hell? Everyone's so jumbled up. Enough about these tests, okay? They mean nothing really because it's all testing. They haven't got the setups properly sorted. Half the teams are sandbagging, especially if your name's Mercedes. So yeah, you can't comment on anything that goes on in them. So instead, we're going to do predictions according to the results because that's what you do. I'm going to start off with the constructors. Constructors. This one's pretty obvious. I've listened to about 5 different predictions. They're all saying the same thing. In P10 for the constructors is Haas. Now let me just talk you through this reasoning. In day 1, Magnussen was 19th, Hulkenberg 20th, 1 whole second behind 18th, who was Ocon. In day 2, 18th and 19th, and the only driver to finish behind him was on slower tyres, and was in half a second of Magnussen, who was ahead of Hulkenberg. In day 3, Hulkenberg got up to 11th, beat Hamilton on faster tyres. Magnussen was down in 16th. Yeah, there's quite a lot to say here. Haas are just not going to do good. They've replaced the team principal, who's probably not going to be ready for the job yet. So it's just fitting in, getting ready for next season sort of season for them. Like they said they do the season before this season, and the season before that, and the season before that, and the season before that. Welcome to Haas. In 9th place, pretty simple again, Williams. I can't really comment on this either. I just think I've looked at the results and I've just thought, they're fast, both drivers are going to get points, but they're not going to do well in the championship altogether. Sargent being definitely midfield. The one thing about Sargent is last season, he was consistently top of the bottom, like 11th, 12th. He never could get points. And the one time he was gifted points was in his own race, but that's besides the point. He's top. He's definitely a midfield driver, especially in that car. He just can't quite push it to that limit. Albon, on the other hand, is the one that can push it to the limit of finishing 10th and pushing his teammate down to 11th, meaning he doesn't get any points, whereas Albon does get that 1 point and finish on 6 points by the end of the season, whatever how many points he finished on, because that's an Albon thing to do. So yeah, that's pretty much easy for that. Next up, I've put Stake F1 team, Stake Sauber Kick Formula 1 team. I don't even know what their name is. Let's just call them Sauber. Or let's call them Mr. Ugly, because I'm going to be honest, the more I look at that car, the more I want to throw up. Once again, there's nothing to really comment. They're just a midfield team. They're not going to score that many points, just because they're going to be stuck in the midfield below P10. No, I can't really say much about it. Because that top 5 teams are always going to be in that top 10 positions. Maybe not Lance Stroll, but the top 4 teams, they're going to have all 8 of their drivers in the top 10 at all times. So it only leaves 2 more spaces for what, Alonso and I don't know, Ricciardo, Gasly, something like that. Speaking of which, in P7 I put VCARB, Visa Cash App Racing Bulls Formula 1 team. God, can you get much uglier than that? It's like if the Elephant Man became a Formula 1 team, then became 2 buildings and got struck by a plane, and that was the outcome. All jokes aside about the team, they're going to be very fast. Ricciardo top P4 in day 1, P5 in day 2, Tsunoda 5th in day 3, but Ricciardo was last, but was on the slowest tyres. Also in day 1, Tsunoda was about 15th, In day 2, Sonoda was last, and in day 3, Ricardo was last. But all the times they were last was when they were on the slower tyres. So I think they'll definitely be one of those bottom 5 teams that push for points. Basically, they're P9 and 10 consistently, like Albon. Next up, I've put Alpine. Once again, pretty simple because they're French. Once again, I've got nothing really to comment about it. Gasly and Ocon are both very strong. Are they going to come together? Probably, because they're incompetent. But they could do something. I'm not doubting them on that for a second. I think it's going to be very close between Alpine and VCAR, but it's very hard to decide between them. But I do think Alpine is just about going to take the cake. And now, come to think of it, I do think maybe Racing Bull should be ahead, because I do think the two Frenchies will come together a bit too much. Like if Australia was every race, especially with Ocon being the teammate killer. Next up, I've got Aston Martin. Okay, we can do this a lot simpler now. Stroll beat Alonso in day 1. Stroll beat Alonso in day 2. Alonso killed Stroll in day 3. It's as easy as that. These two have actually been getting a lot closer by the looks in practice. Is Alonso going to do this in the actual races? Probably not. But I think this is... Well, it looks good for Stroll at the moment, I must say. But saying that, Guan Yu Zhou was 3rd in day 3 of testing, and I'm not going to say that Zhou's going to finish on the podium every race, am I? So, Alonso's definitely going to beat Stroll there, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Aston Martin's going to get P5. And 3/4 of the point's going to be Alonso. I'm not making bets like that. P4, Mercedes. They're going to have a stinker of a year. I just feel it. And when I say stinker, I mean world champion level stinker, not Haas level stinker. Because it's Mercedes, they're still going to find a way to get a podium here and there. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. I reckon another win season for the team. I was going to say just for Hamilton, but no, it's for the team. Russell's definitely not going to get a win. I reckon he's the slower driver. Day 1, Russell set a 1:34. Hamilton didn't race. Day 2, Hamilton set a 1:31. Russell didn't race. Day 3, Russell was in was in like 0.2 of a second of Leclerc. Hamilton set a 1:32. Don't mind that sound. I have nothing to say. They're just such a weird team. They'll probably sandbag and watch them win every race. I don't even know what they're going to do. They've refreshed half the team. They've gone to Red Bull's chassis just for Red Bull to go to their chassis, which is pretty funny. So yeah, altogether they're going to be P4. P3 and P2. This was very hard to decide between. Looking at results of this, P2 should be Ferrari. But looking at every single estimation both me and everyone else on the internet have made, it should be McLaren. But in P3 I've put McLaren. I've just been looking at the results of testing. Leclerc 1st in day 3. Sainz 1st and absolutely dominating in day 2 by a full second. They've always beaten McLaren, especially Piastri. Piastri beat Sainz in day 3 and that's it. And Sainz beat Norris, was massively dropped in that session. What's not happening there. I have nothing to go off but the results here. That's why I keep on referring back to them. But yeah, McLaren P3, Leclerc? McLaren P3, Ferrari P2. It's as simple as that. And of course, who wouldn't have guessed it? Oh God, I need Captain Obvious to come here and give you this news. Like, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I don't know why I keep on stalling. It's Red Bull. Obviously, it's Red Bull because they're Red Bull. Adrian Newey's done something absolutely magic here, apparently. sometimes. I can't really see what's going on with that car, but something's definitely going on with that car. And it has to be working out because Perez was second in day 2. So you know it's working. Because Verstappen was 1.5 seconds ahead of Norris on day 1. And you know it was working because Zhou beat Verstappen on day 3. But so yeah, that's the constructors. Red Bull first, Ferrari second, McLaren third, Mercedes fourth, Aston Martin fifth, Alpine sixth, Visa Cash Out Racing Bull seventh, Stake Sauber Kick F1 team in eighth, Williams in ninth, and poor little American Haas in 10th. I don't want to do the drivers because I feel like I'm going to be heavily judged on, which means in P20 is Kevin Magnussen. Despite Magnussen beating Hulkenberg in day 1 and 2 by half a second respectively in both sessions, Hulkenberg is the better driver. Definitely better in qualifying out the two of them. Around equal in race pace. Hulkenberg is like a sprint race merchant, I would say. Magnussen's just like, I'm just going to stay 15th, do what you want sort of driver. I don't really know how else to explain it, apart from the fact that Hulkenberg's faster than Magnussen, because Magnussen's a midfield driver, and Hulkenberg wants to definitely push. Sometimes he pushes a bit too much, and sometimes that engine is very unreliable, which is the only reason why Magnussen's actually close to Hulkenberg in the championship. In 19th, I've put Logan Sargent. I did say he'd finish in the points, but I've been looking at the other drivers, and I just can't see him scoring any more points than them. But I'm just for saying that he's going to beat Magnussen in the championship. Likewise, Hulkenberg is going to beat Sargent in the championship because Hulkenberg is 18th. I have nothing to comment about the lower drivers though. It's just all going to be the same. They're going to be sat in the bottom 10. Oh no, someone's DNF'd, probably George Russell. This driver's now been pushed to P10. They've scored a point. Now they're ahead of half the grid because none of them can get in the points because the top 5 keep on staying in the points and no one else can be up there. In 17th, I put Guan Yu Zhou. I'll say it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it for every single one of these drivers. It's the exact same story. They're going to be bottom 10, and somehow one of the drivers is going to get 10th or 9th. Maybe an 8th if they're lucky. If, I don't know, Perez does a Perez. That's the only way they're going to be able to score points. In 16th is Albon. This is one driver, well, one of 2 drivers I'm thinking of, the bottom 5 teams that are genuinely going to be point scorers. The first one I put Albon, which is 16th and very, very low. I haven't even put him like anywhere near. He's bottom 5 drivers, but I reckon consistently around P10 and P11, P12. He's going to be stuck in that midfield. The car is going to try and push him, but he cannot push because the car is Williams and it's not 2012 or 1992, 1993. Okay, I can say that. Okay. Bottas 15th. Once again, can't really say much about it. He's in a faster car, most probably. Sometimes, maybe. I mean, in day 1, Bottas beat Albon on slower tyres by 2 tenths. Bottas beat Sargent by 2 tenths on faster tyres in day 2. Bottas was last in day 3. I can't really say much about it apart from that. I just think Bottas is going to beat Williams. It's as easy as that. Tsunoda is next up on my list in 14th. Tsunoda hasn't really shined in testing. He was 13th in day 1. Didn't show. No, he did show up in day 2. Last. And then randomly just came P5 in day 3 because it's just Sonoda. You can just do that. You can do absolutely poorly in all sessions, and then just show up like it's nothing. But the fair was on the fastest tires used in day 3, so that sort of counts, I guess. 13th, I put Esteban Ocon. Yes, Esteban Ocon is going to lose out to teammate Pierre Gasly, because just like Michael Schumacher found when trying to kill Damon Hill for the second time, put himself in the gravel and Damon Hill being able to finish the race and win the championship, taking out your rival / teammate is more likely going to end badly for you than it is for them. Especially consistently doing it. But 12th will still be Gasly. You're going to be close in the championship. The Gasly-Ocon fight is going to be Netflix's version of Verstappen and Hamilton in 2021. Genuinely, I think that. Those two are going to be so close because they're so equal as drivers. They have similar mentality. Apart from the fact that Gasly isn't good as teammates, but apart from that, I think they're just so similar in pace, and they're going to have the same car, and Alpine don't really care who's first and second driver. The fact that those two are actually going to be quite close and maybe a bit too close, and then they're going to crash or something. P11, I'll put Lance Stroll. I think he's going to get more points than last season. I think he's going to get a podium. He's gonna pick up some. He's gonna pick up some silverware. It's not gonna be a win. It's not gonna be second. He might do well in quali sometimes. Is he gonna do a Turkey 2020? Maybe. Is it likely? No. Is it likely for Stroll to do anything against Alonso? No. Will he? Maybe. It's Lance Stroll. He's the most weird driver in the world. No one can go for finishing in Q1 the whole season to sticking it on pole and then get a podium in another 5 races in the same season to then going out in Q1 again the next season to then hitting your who's the dude he hit in Qatar? Him, okay? A race after having one of your biggest crashes that was Senna-esque. Anyway, Stroll 11th because he's a really random driver and he'll probably get a podium somehow. 10th I've put Ricciardo. There it is, finally. The new man, the Aussie, the Honey Badger, the Shoey man. The man that went 4 seconds slower than Bottas in day 3. Ricciardo's rapid, we've seen it. He did not many races last season for AlphaTauri. And yet, he still had one of the best AlphaTauri careers in 2023. Oh yeah, one of the best AlphaTauri careers since Pierre Gasly in 2020 and 2021. And I think the last time that car has been pushed to the limit was back when it was Toro Rosso in the early 2010s and 2000s. Honestly, I might not like the look of the car, but I see where people are saying it looks like the Toro Rosso, and I genuinely think Ricciardo will mistake it for a Toro Rosso and go stupidly fast in it. I can see a podium. I can see a shoey, and I can see Verstappen drinking out of his own shoe. P9, George Russell. It's just sort of obvious. George Russell is just slow. The Milky Bar kid is not going to go anywhere in life. He thinks he's the new Hamilton. He's not even a Bottas. He's not going to get a win. He's not going to get a pole. He's going to get a couple podiums because it's Mercedes. He might get lucky with Perez making a mistake, Piastri making mistakes, something stupid like that. or Ferrari being Ferrari, which will no longer be Ferrari, and I will get into that at the end. And I want to quote someone on that. Precisely with that P8 will be Fernando Alonso. I don't really have anything to say, it's just Fernando Alonso. He's weird. He's weird in the opposite weird to Lance Stroll, where Lance Stroll's bad all the time and then will randomly pull a win out of nowhere. Alonso will finish on the podium every race and then finish Q1 in about 5 races in a row, not get any points, drop down 10 positions in the championship, and then come back with a win. Welcome to Fernando Alonso's life. Next up, Lewis Hamilton. Do I say the car? Do I say him? I don't. Either way, I'm gonna get absolutely hated for by Team LH fans. The non-normal Team LH fans. I want to say he's finished. I want to say Mercedes are finished. Either way, that car is not going to get a win. Just like Russell, he'll get a couple podiums. With Hamilton, he might even get a pole, unlike Russell. But he ain't getting a win. He's not. I'm sorry to tell you. I don't even think he's going to get second. And with that, we move on to our top 6, where we have both Red Bulls, both McLarens, and both Ferraris left. And we're starting off with a McLaren. Now, this is why I put McLaren in 3rd. I was very decisive between 2nd and 3rd in the Constructors. And I do think Piastri is going to weigh down the team a bit. Now, I think 4 of the 6 drivers in this top 6 are going to get a win. First one I'm saying is Piastri. He got a win in the sprint at Qatar. He's going to do it again. Whether it's a sprint, whether it's natural race, I don't know. But Piastri's going to get a win. He's going to get a couple podiums. He's had such a successful first season. There's no way a second season syndrome hits him the same way it hits Tsunoda. Or I don't know who else had the second season syndrome. I genuinely can't think of a single other driver that had it. No, I genuinely can't. I should stop thinking and just get on with this. I'm wasting time. P5 put Perez. Now, this is one of 2 drivers in the top 6 that I think will not get a win. He's going to be fast. He's not going to be fast enough. His teammate is rapid. He is not. People say the car's built around Verstappen. It's actually built pretty even, according to Christian Horner. But I do think that car is just not going to be very fair on Perez. He's on his last couple of strings now before Ricciardo gets pulled back into the team. I'm sorry, Perez, we're going to have to say goodbye to you. You're not going to get a win. You'll be podium. I can see a lot of 1-2s coming from Red Bull. I can't ever see Perez being that top driver. I can't see him ever being a win anyway. If he's going to win anywhere, Verstappen's going to need a massive mistake. Ferrari's going to have to do a Ferrari. McLaren's going to, I don't know, do a start of 2022. I don't know, just something has to happen for Perez to get that win. A bit like Baku 2021. He definitely had the pace of a podium finisher, and then all of a sudden 2 drivers ahead of him just randomly disappeared. I don't know how that happened. That may be how that happened. P4 Sainz. This is the other driver I don't think will get the win. He got a win in Britain in 2022. He got a win, the only non-Red Bull win last season. He knows his seat's under threat. And there's 2 ways he can... Well, his seat's not even under threat, and his seat's gone at Ferrari. So there's no real other way to put this than Carlos ain't going to go win this season. You're going to be put under too much pressure. You might not even care about the team anymore and its results, just because he knows he's going to be kicked out at the end of the year. So yeah, P3 Charles Leclerc, he's going to get a win. He's going to be title contender. This top 3 is going to be very, very tight, by the way. I don't think there's going to be particularly a dominant race driver in this. I reckon it's going to be close between our Leclerc, our Norris, and our Verstappen. Maybe not close like 2021 close or 2016 close or 2008 close, but it's gonna be close. It'll come down to like the last 5 races, like 2017, with Vettel having a couple of engine failures, Hamilton getting like 80 points up on Vettel, despite being behind before Ferrari started being Ferrari, and all of a sudden Hamilton then just won the championship out of that. I reckon it's going to be something like that. But yeah, I reckon Leclerc's going to get hit a couple of wins out there, mainly P2s, sometimes P3s, definitely top 6s, and if he never finishes in top 10, I don't know what I'll ever do with my life. P2, I'm reluctant to say, but it is going to be Maximilian Lando Norris. Yeah, okay, yeah, we all knew it was happening. Lando's P2, okay? Like, were you ever doubtful of Verstappen winning the title? No. As much as I will want to see Lando Norris get his first win, which he will do this season, and as much as it will be even better when he wins the title in the same season, he's not winning the title in the same season. It's gonna be Verstappen. That car, there's going to be something magic about it, but there's also a reason McLaren brought out their car super early, and it's because they found something. The same way Hamilton left before his car was revealed, because he saw something that he didn't like. But yeah, McLaren found something on the car, and they really liked it so much that they hyped up their car super early to get all the media attention, to get all the stories talking. They literally deleted everything on all of their social medias, got a new tagline and everything, because they're going to be super fast this season. But they're not going to win the title, because your 2024 Formula 1 World Champion is going to be the same drivers in 2021, the same drivers in 2022, the same drivers who are going to win 19 races in 2023. It's going to be Max Verstappen. Anyway, I want to talk to you about what I was going to talk about before, with the Ferraris. Now, I'm going to show a clip here of Formula 1 YouTuber, TikToker and podcaster, Rocket Powered Mohawk, who is probably one of my favourite F1 channels. I'm not going to be unhappy at admitting that. I genuinely do enjoy watching him. He's pretty funny, he's pretty edgy, and I do like edging to it. Where he said this about Ferrari.
Fire all the Italians. Hear me out. The last time Ferrari was genuinely incredible, there were no Italians in sight. The team principal was French, the technical director was British, the drivers were a German and a Brazilian, the chief designer was from South Africa, the chief strategist was from Kent, and his name was Nigel. Nigel from Kent is the exact opposite of Italian. So Ferrari will never be successful until they fire all the Italians.
Okay, and what does their team look like now? Their team has been ransacked by Ted Vasseur. There is less Italians in there now than, I don't know, Italians in London after the Euros final. Like, genuinely, that team has been ransacked of Italians since Ted joined. Why? Because, just like RPM revealed, Italy was the problem with Italy. They've gotten rid of the Italy in the Italian team, so now the Italian team is no longer Italian. So now it's actually good. It's like Italian food. And that's why they're going to have pace, that's why they're going to win, that's why they're going to get podiums every single race. Because they're actually going to be good again. They're still not going to win the title, I'm sorry to tell you that. but you're going to be second in constructors. Be happy about that, okay, Italians? Okay? Okay? Okay?
Bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen.